So as we were saying before, to everyone who joined us just now, we'll be starting shortly. And in the meantime, we invite everyone to exchange contact details in the chat and to say hello. Everyone is sharing their LinkedIn accounts so we can all connect during the event and after the event. So feel free to actively use the chat to interact with each other.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Henrik from Nanocore.
Yes, hi Henrik, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good as well, thank you. Well, great to have you with us. I'm very excited for later. I think we'll just wait for a couple more minutes. We'll definitely have people joining in later on in the first, let's say, 15 minutes of the call. But I think, Stephen, we can maybe kick it off in just a couple of minutes. We'll wait for all presenters to join in, and then I think we can start very soon.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
So hello, Toad. Hello, Mike. Hello to Dan, everyone, Bruce as well. Welcome to the event. Thank you for sharing your contact details with everyone. We're excited to have all of you here and excited for this evening. So Stephen, I'll leave it to you to kick off the event whenever you're ready.
Very good. Thank you, Olga. Thank you all and welcome to our USA Technology investment event online. And we look forward to getting to know each and every one of you as participants of our Startup Club community. We are excited to have a panel of 7 companies that would like to make you aware of some of the exciting technologies they're developing. And we're looking forward to relationships with these companies to help them grow. And Olga will tell you a little bit about our international organization, and in hopes that we're able to build a robust community here to help one another. Olga, would you give us a little presentation on Startup Club?
Yes, perfect. So thank you, Stephen, for the introduction. And of course, thank you, every one of you, once again, for being with us today or this evening, depending on where in the world you're located. And of course, I would like to kick off our meeting by showing you a quick video about the Startup Club that will hopefully give you a little bit more idea about who we are and what we do. some of you, it might be the first evening with us. So here it goes, an introduction to the Startup Club. So as you can see, at the Startup Club, our goal is to really build a truly international startup community, and we're doing so through the creation of those events around the world, such as this one. And we're really thrilled to have Steven with us doing this event from the USA. Since the video was made in the beginning of this year, we've actually grown our community to over 55,000 members around the world. So we're really thrilled to be growing fast and to have each one of you as a part of our community. So thanks once again. And I'm passing the word back to Steven to say a couple of words about our event partner and well, to get through to the main part of the event, of course, which are the presentations.
Yes, thank you, Olga. We're pleased to have as our sponsor today, Jim Hereta, the Nessa Group, and Nessa Group is a international consulting advisory group operated by experienced leaders and C-suite executives that provide clients with leadership and guidance essential in designing and implementing disciplinary strategies needed for company growth and sustainability. We are so pleased to have them, and they represent the kind of relationships we're building in order to facilitate our startup partners to reach get the access to resources they need to grow their enterprises. And I'd like to just go through the list of presenters just so that y'all are aware of the order, so y'all can schedule your time accordingly. We have Square 7 that will lead us off in Act 1, Healthcare, then Nanocore, then CLIXS, Ascent Care Partners, Hale Inc., and Mobile Card in that particular order. So if we have Ahmad Hefni, if we could ask him to lead us off with Square 7. Ahmad, are you prepared? Ready to go?
I will be sharing the presentation.
That's great. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Ahmad Hefni, the founder of Square 7, a London-based PropTech marketplace that brings together 7 property market participants for a one-stop shop in property to streamline digital property settlement. But not just that, we have even more than that. But what is online property settlement? The best way to explain it is through CLIXS, which is an Australian example valued at $2.3 billion by Morgan Stanley in 2018. Digital property settlement for CLIXS brings together the buyer, the seller, the lawyers, the government to a single platform so that the unit goes from the buyer and the seller and everything is registered digitally. 32.8 billion is the settlement, is the property worth of settlements done in 2019 to 2020, which is around 50% of what happened in the market in that year. And since the inception of PEXA, $907 billion went through the platform. And the very same model is being sought by people in the UK, Europe, in Hong Kong, and in the US. And that's what we're developing, but we're developing it with a tweaked business model to bring in more market participants. Because when you look at the bigger problem, at the bigger marketplace, we have a problem with international sales and a problem with brokers. It's not saleable and portals are not updated. And there is no virtual sales solution. With Corona, we all need a virtual sales solution. You need to settle digitally. Also, that adds more time for the developments on markets. So sales is not streamlined. It can be way better if we tap into what actually people want through an internet text. So we have a lot of problems in the marketplace. Digital settlement is one of them, and we aim to solve them together in energized platform, and that's the new era of the real estate. So who are the 7 participants? We have the developers as architects and interior designers, and we basically, why invest in Square 7? It's the Amazon of real estate. That's the aim of it. And we have a hybrid revenue business model. So we work on subscription and both on commission and success fee, depending on who is the stakeholder. We also aggregate the PropTech and the FinTech markets. So we have property developers from all around the world. And also we have taken a lot of achievements done since March 2020 when we launched. We already launched with the sellers, buyers platform, and we are now implementing the lawyers and more value-adding services to be deployed by the end of this quarter. We already have acceptance from the Egyptian government to market their land, which is valued at more than $50 billion, and it's equivalent to 3 times the size of Singapore. We already have developers from 6 countries, Spain, Greece, Sri Lanka, UAE, Egypt, and Brazil, with more than $30 million of listings and 17,000 unique visitors in just 2 months of marketing, March and April. And if we look at the developers and buyers, we are unique in every stakeholder that we bring to the platform. For these 3 market participants, we have unique selling points. That we only have credible property developers. It's purely international sales. We do not work on commission. It's a complete virtual sales solution, and it's a direct to consumer. And these are the countries that we have now. They aim to grow massively. Of course, if you look at the property marketplace, the global real estate stands at around 280, including agriculture, and its causation in property has never been as high as it is now. This is what we aim to bring to the marketplace. Now, we're different compared to Zillow, Zoopla, Salvos, Nightfrag, PEXA. We bring a complete marketplace to your fingertips so that you can find the developer that you want, find the country that you want, buy the property that you want, and get to what you really want, not what the broker wants. That's the main important thing.
Yeah, hi, the voice is not audible.
So of course,
can you speak up?
Managed and tweaked and everything based on agreements with the developers. But it's a monthly subscription model, and we are seeking $3 million at a pre-mining valuation of $13 million. We expect the net operating profit in year 1 to be 3.8 and to grow to 25.5 in year 5. But this is only if we are looking into the developers and buyers. Adding more to the architects, adding more to the retail brands, this is a completely different scale. That's why the subscription model is really good, because it helps us grow spontaneously, and hence we need less money to scale, which is actually you need to know how to spend money, not to how to raise money anymore. And we have a team that is from Morgan Business School and School of Economics, and a lot of experience in real estate and retail. We also have an advisory board that founded British Innovation Fund Investment Committee at CITIC Securities, the co-CEO of Bloco and the founder of Ergo, both 2 blockchain technologies, and used to head Deutsche Telekom and Santander. Also Khaled Aziz from Accenture, Deloitte, and Naveen Tahri, which is a board advisor to the Harvard Business School in MENA, and a board member of the Egyptian Sovereign Wealth Fund. And I would love to hear questions and take this forward with you to change the real estate market internationally.
Okay, thank you.
So much. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, do we have questions? If you would, just use the chat feature to ask your questions.
If I may say, for some people, the voice was a bit low and some didn't understand the presentation. So I'll give a brief in like 2 minutes. Square 7 is basically a marketplace that connects property market participants. The 7 participants are mainly property developers, investors, lawyers, financial institutions, retail, architects, and interior designers for a one-stop shop for both the buyer and developers, the seller, and financial institutions, of course, to develop their portfolio valuations. Part of it is a digital property settlement, similar to the one developed in Australia, PEXA, which has been processing property units worth 907 billion till now. This is in a nutshell what Square 7 is. We've had leaps in both the developers, the buyers, and the financial institutions and lawyers. And we are here to raise capital to increase our investment in technology, hiring, and marketing. This is basically what Square 7 is. We aim to bring property developers from all around the world, expand the property market space, and to bring market prices to equilibrium and bring more information to the buyers so that in essence, it would decrease market bubbles and make sure prices are as they should be. Please, if there's any question, I would be happy to answer it. Thanks. So we've got a question in the chat, the target customer and the marketing plan. So the target customer, we have different customers, of course. The first, where the core interaction will happen and will bring liquidity to the market space, is property developers. So are into the development market, not just any house. And it's purely developers, not brokers. This is the first target customer, of course. And then we also have financial institutions. We have architects, retail brands, but all of these are mainly like architects. It's an integration. Property developers, it's basically a SaaS model where they create an account similar to Netflix, for example, and have their page up and running. So we have different customers, but we start off with the main ones, which are property developers. And these are the ones that are actually paying. So moving to the revenue model, it's a subscription fee model for property developers with different packages according to the services and facilities that we provide to either. But we also, for lawyers, there is an introduction fee. So that's why it's a hybrid revenue model in its entirety. Our marketing plan is for developers. It is up to now to make sure that we have the proper property developers who are credible, high quality, to maintain curation and matching algorithm to highest quality. It is now based on contacts, referrals, and networking, but we aim to hire relationship managers from the likes of financial institutions to bring in capital or to bring in property developers. I'm also traveling to Spain in a couple of days to meet with people from BlackRock and asset management companies to have their developments. So this is the marketing plan. The current revenue up to now, we're pre-revenue because we onboarded developers in March, and then Corona came and said, hi guys, we will have a seat at the table. So we had to retain customers because the online behavior and purchasing power of property declined. So our only way to retain them was to extend the trial. Up to now, everyone is on trial. So revenue, it's pre-revenue. How do you plan to tackle competition in various geographies? Again, we have a different business model. Like, for example, we're not a portal. We don't have brokers. We have different unique selling points. The first being purely developers. The second being zero commission for the developers and the buyers. The third being international marketing. And the fourth being is that we maintain your brand equity. So Zoopla, Rightmove, these are all competitors from a traffic perspective, yes. But again, also they do not execute the sales and they are not purely for developers. Even Savills and Knight Frank, for example, they were happy to get listed when we have proper traction and market presence. Developers have other ways of reaching investors. What is failing about those methods? What is failing is the international sales, and what is failing right now is that they were dependent on brokers, and brokers are demanding very high percentage for commission, and it ends up diluting the brand equity of the developer. So if, for example, an international broker selling properties in Spain and selling properties in Greece, Greece pays 8%, Spain pays 5%. The broker would be more interested in selling the Greek property, even though if the buyer doesn't want it. But this is how brokers function, because this is their revenue. And this is why they are failing to execute deals online. Deals are not executed online. They have been recently introduced in Poland, Switzerland, Germany, and the US, partially with crypto and with cash. And of course, the complete virtual sales solution is not 100% there. And the platform, the concept of platformization for property is not available. This is what they're failing to do. Also, the current subscriber base, up till now, we have 17,000 unique visitors, around 200 signups, because we're developing the registration flow to make them get signed more into Facebook and Google and LinkedIn and stuff. But we have a user base from email marketing, more than 15 million. Can individuals use the platform to? Yes, of course. It aims to help developers market their properties to normal individuals, investors, so basically expats, investors, and tourists. Or is it only for large deals? It's for large deals if it's for a financial institution. Again, depends on the angle on where you are. The main core interaction that we start off with is property developers. So yes, it can be used by individuals and investors too. There are other broker-free markets for real estate development. Why is your marketplace better? Broker-free markets for real estate developments, they are mainly for, the ones I've seen, of course, are mainly for domestic sales, and they end up connecting to brokers as well, or charging high commission, and they do not provide the full real estate, full virtual solution. Plus, as I said, we have more than one participant, making it a one-stop shop. So you're not just selling to an individual or a buyer, you're also giving an opportunity for a financial institution to conduct a portfolio and then analyze that portfolio and then invest. You can bring in REIT trusts to start investing in that. You can also, for property developers, you can also tap into architects, international architects, to bring in new designs. You can test your designs on the marketplace before going to market. So it's completely, there are more value-adding services compared to the ones that we have. And we're not just a resource information platform. We aim to execute the deal online. That's where we are heading. How do you propose to manage jurisdiction issues between buyers A and sellers in property, especially legal? That's a very, very, very important question, because that is one of the main challenges that we have. The legalities in the US, for example, in its entirety is almost similar, and lawyers are very well aware of that, and they can execute that. That's why we have a lawyer that is included in the communication interface between the buyers and the sellers to facilitate the transaction. Same thing with Europe. Europe is similarly operating with almost similar regulations, and the lawyers that I've spoken with, they manage these of all fines. So that's why we aim to bring them to the marketplace. We just bring the experts together so that they can work. How much cash on hand? I can send you the details on private, but the cash on hand is very minimal, and we are basically investing all the cash that we have in the technology being developed so that we can provide more value-adding services. I mentioned blockchain. How large is the blockchain community? No, I mentioned blockchain. Yes, that people are buying through blockchain in Greece, in Poland, Germany, and Poland, Germany, and there was another country. It escapes my mind right now. I just said it a few minutes back. I don't know how large the blockchain community is, to be honest. I would be shooting in the dark if I said anything about that. One important thing about the marketplace is that for you, for example, as an investor, if you have, let's say, $1 million, you want to invest it for a good return on investment, it opens to you the global market, global developers, credible developers, so that you can actually find better opportunities instead of just Googling property developers in Cyprus, property developers in Montenegro. You would go to that. The aim, of course, is to go to that platform, find all the developers that you can have, compare them on a single site. The optimization of getting informed decisions is way higher in platforms compared to doing the research manually.
Okay, well, Ahmad, thank you so much for that explanation. Sounds like an exciting project. We look forward to talking more about it, and anyone and everyone that has an interest, please contact us or Ahmad, and we look forward to continuing that conversation. Next up, we
Thank you,
have.
Steve. I'll go on mute now.
Okay, my pleasure. Gus Bonin of Act One. Gus, would you please tell us all about your company?
Yes, I will be sharing Gus's presentation now.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gus Bonet. Act One Health. We're a population health focused on healthcare home with a personalized touch. We offer that chronically ill patient a way to monitor and maintain their condition via remote monitoring, telemedicine with our multidisciplinary care team, and real-time data alerts for quick interventions, all in their home. Our current health system is very reactive, and that has indeed shown itself to be a problem. Over 55 million Americans today are 65 and older, and of those, over 39 million are chronically ill, which means they have 2 or more chronic disease states. Of those 39 million, only 1.5% are receiving ongoing management for those conditions. Now, the population of the chronically ill patient is set to double by 2035. We see a lot of major issues that these particular patients have every day as well, such as limited access to medical care, a reliance on the hospital emergency room, and their providers, their health systems, and their insurers really have no way to do early interventions that can prevent admissions and readmissions into the hospital. This has shown to be a most expensive way to manage ill patient, and is currently 90% of all of Medicare's budget. This has prompted both federal and state organizations to require lower cost and higher quality of care. There are studies that show there are 3 points that are sustainable for a chronic care management program. That is prevention, immediate intervention, and medication adherence. At Act One Health, we've come up with a complex solution, our complex solution, and it addresses all 3. First, we give that patient access to care with our prevention model. Since COVID, our model is especially relevant for the chronically ill because we provide a health kiosk system for their home with a direct connection to our multidisciplinary care team. We provide early intervention by giving them Bluetooth and API-enabled biometric devices that hook directly into that kiosk system. That is things like blood pressure cuffs and pulse oximeters that communicates real-time data to our clinical team that can then see any health deteriorations and intervene with the patient to cut down the number of emergency room visits, hospital admissions, and hospital readmissions. We also address medication adherence by assigning a particular clinical team member to take care of that for our patient members. We also have a portal that the providers, the caretakers, and the family members can access to follow the success of our patients. We have a wonderful COVID program. It's a simple solution that monitors, detects, and reports symptoms of COVID. It makes sure that the patient and their employer or school system is aware and can take the proper actions to make sure to keep that patient and their coworkers safe. It's all strictly HIPAA compliant. We are currently in contract negotiations with a large health system in Louisiana and a large sports franchise. We're also in talks with another large health system and a large outsourced professional employer organization, or PEO, based in Texas that can put us throughout the country. In year one, you'll see with less than 1,000 patients, we're already at positive cash flow. By year three, we're at almost 14 million in profit with less than 8,000 patients. We've put together a stellar team with almost 100 years of experience. I myself have over 20 years in healthcare, founded 2 healthcare organizations, while Dr. Paula Wilt, our Associate Medical Director in Psychology, specializes in depressive disorders specific to the chronically ill, while Dr. Ron Andrews, our Associate Medical Director in Physical Health, has been a researcher in chronic disease states as well. Vanessa Graham, our CFO, she's brought many private companies public and has extensive experience in mergers and acquisitions. Our ask today is 1.5 million and any introductions that might drive us down our path to success. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Gus. Let's see, questions. What about the competition in this sector?
So competition in this sector. So what you mostly see is remote monitoring companies or telemedicine companies. And that is only each are only a portion of what we offer. We offer both remote monitoring and telemedicine. We haven't seen so far any competition that does the total of remote monitoring, telemedicine in both psychiatry and simple health, and then do interventions to follow up.
Okay, how do you?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
As far as the sales team, currently you're looking at him. As it happens, I've reached out to a few folks that are going to be independent, but it's me that's brought everything on as of right now. CPT codes that apply to the various treatments in the program. So I'm more than happy to share that in a private setting. Since we do both physical and behavioral health, we focus on preventive medicine so that we can be an adjunct and we're not direct competition to the primary care, which is a large concern in the insurer world and health systems.
Okay. So how does this work with chronic epilepsy and diabetes?
Honestly, we haven't reached out for epilepsy. That hasn't been asked before. We are doing we've been asked, and we're setting up a private program to do sickle cell for specialties, type 1 diabetes. We have a glucometer that hooks in directly with us, and we can help them determine whether or not on a daily basis they're taking the right amount of insulin. Pulmonary dysfunction. So we also have a spirometer that hooks directly in and goes to our clinical staff every day, as well as blood pressure cuffs, pulse oximeters, things like that. So we can monitor everything, and an ECG. Patients as of to date, no. Our current client, our two beginning clients, want to start in the fall. So that's why we're in contract negotiations with them. And of course, I'll get you my contact information more.
Okay.
Technical team. So the technical team is outsourced right now. We have a development team out of Miami that's putting everything together for us. There are certain APIs we're connecting as well to our core programming, but they're based out of Miami.
Okay, what about?
Yeah, there's a lot of data. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Your current customers and how are you doing on the sales pipeline?
So on the sales pipeline, we're looking at
we're looking at about, so I have quite a few that are interested, but the two I mentioned for current contracts, those are the big ones, and we're looking at about 1,500 patients a piece there. The two that we're in talks with, that's going to be another 1,500 to 3,000 to start. Most of these will end up being, once they come on, will end up being closer to between 15 to 30,000, depending on the size of the health system or the client.
Okay. What's the sales process? Who do you interface with at the institutions?
So I interface usually with population health folk, or post-acute VPs, CEOs. It all has to be C-suite decision making, and no, it's simply C-suite and usually population health or CEOs of the groups. I see that someone's asking about financial projections. So financial projections, looks like we're going to be cash flow positive with a little less than right around 1,000 patients in the first year. But we already are in contract negotiations with more than that. It looks like about 3,000 in the first year. Second year, both of those are going to minimum double. Because they want to integrate us into the first health system, and the same with the sports complex. So those projections are going to be kind of blown out of the water. Services available to patients with substance abuse problems. So we have our medical director here for Medicaid in my state, Louisiana. They have asked that same thing because that's his specialty. We're going to develop a program based on that request, because he's also the one that asked us about the sickle cell program as well. It is not $50 a visit. We do a subscription based per month per patient. And that is, our prescription basis much more than that, because these are chronically ill patients that we'll be talking to 3 to 5 times a month.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. So health insurance. So I actually developed the entire program inside of a large Medicare Advantage insurer, and I can explain more about that in a private conversation, obviously. But it has developed fully out of that and what their needs are, and the pricing model is based on what they are going to be willing to pay, and whether or not the health system that we bring on could actually make revenue as well. So yeah, it's based in that world, the health insurance world. So how much of the stake? So we have an initial investor where where everything had begun. So I'm more than happy to share that with you in a private one as well, the initial stake piece. Yes, and obviously I just answered the question about the secured any funds. They've given 10%, the initial investors given 10% to us. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, Gus, you should be right in the middle of that hurricane right about now, shouldn't you?
It went super fast, and we're already through most of it. We're just getting kind of whipped at the very end because we're far enough away from it. It didn't hit the core, but we're getting the bands. It's the reason I'm trying to be quiet, because my dogs and child are a little crazy in the other room.
Well, we're blessed to have you. And I know that my family in Louisiana is right now without power. So,
yeah, the middle of the state kind of got beat.
Yeah, they did. Well, thanks so much, Gus, for joining us and sharing your exciting story. We look forward to more collaboration and help you get where you need to be. Now, our pleasure. Thanks for being here. Now we have Nanocore and Henrik Peterson. Look forward to hearing about Nanocore now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Henrik Peterson, and I'm the CEO of Nanocore. Nanocore makes high-strength, low-weight carbon nanotube composite materials. Our market is any product or industry where high strength and low weight is advantageous, which is virtually any product or industry, including 3D printing, paint, space, construction, and more. Nanocore materials will be stronger than any other material, cheaper, have broader usage, and be recyclable. Composites have two components, the matrix, which is a glue that keeps everything together, and the filler, which provides additional features such as strength. Carbon nanotubes are the strongest molecules known, 120 times stronger than steel, 20 times stronger than carbon fiber. Carbon nanotubes would thus seem perfect for making high-strength composite materials. For 30 years, the materials industry has been trying to exploit the enormous strengths of the nanotube molecules without luck. Two major obstacles have been in the way. First, carbon nanotubes have a strong tendency to aggregate and form lumps. Secondly, the CNTs are extremely smooth and don't get anchored to the matrix. These two problems have kept everyone from making high-strength materials. Sizing is a standard method in composite materials whereby the filler is coated with a thin film on material. We have developed a similar sizing technology for nanotubes. Our nanosizing approach solves both problems. It eliminates lumps and it allows efficient anchoring of the nanotubes in the matrix. Using nanosizing, we have managed to fully separate the lumps into individual nanotubes and have shown that we can obtain a 50% efficient anchoring of the nanotube in the material. We obtain a load transfer of 50%, which means that 50% of the strength of the nanotube is transferred to the material. These numbers are all more than 10 times better than any data we know of. So in conclusion, we have now produced materials where the superior strength of the nanotube is transferred efficiently to the composite material. The next slides show the impact that these new materials may have. An airplane that weighs 80% less consumes 60% less fuel. A 20 kilogram fiberglass kayak can be reduced to 600 gram. The 59 tons carbon fiber composites of the Dreamliner airplane can be reduced to 3 tons. Carbon fiber products are very labor intensive. Here we see a Porsche wheel that was made by hand. In contrast, nano-sized carbon nanotube composites can be made by standard production methods such as injection molding, allowing for automation and high volume production. If the rotor blade doubles in length, energy production goes up 4-fold. Wind turbine rotor blades cannot be recycled. With nanotube composites, the rotor blades can. With carbon nanotubes, it will be possible to make drones, screens, batteries, 3D printers, and many more, including strong cables. A thread with a diameter of just a few millimeters will be strong enough to carry 5 cars. Carbon nanotubes cost 20 times less than carbon fiber per strength. Based on the expected fuel savings in the transport sector, the recyclability, and the increased efficiency of energy production, nanosizing will probably be the greenest technology ever developed. We will be dealing with a diverse set of markets with different challenges and different ways of doing business. We will therefore have to engage in different ways with the various industries. To accommodate the different industry standards mentioned before, we set up deals of varying structure, such as simple out-licensing deals, collaborations, joint ventures, and spin-outs. we have so far out-licensed just a few minor product segments. These are major milestones and activities for the next year's development. For this round of financing, we are seeking $4 million as an investment. This is our management. These are our key advisors. And in conclusion, we have spent 5 years developing the nanosizing approach, and it is now ready to be rolled out. I hope that some of you might be interested in being part of this. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Henrik. That was very impressive technology. Would you explain where you are as far as the rollout of this? Is this, I see you have some licensing agreements. Are you in production?
No, we're not in production at all. So far, we are just licensing out the rights to use our technology, and they will then, the licensees will then have to basically produce everything themselves. They're just getting the rights, the exclusive rights to use our technology for their own products. So we don't have any production yet. A lot of products.
Do you have manufacturing partnerships or relationships established to facilitate that?
Yeah, we're setting it up, but we don't have any contracts or alliances in that regard.
Okay.
Basically, the next at least a year is going to be research that's going to broaden the technology and show that it can be applied to many different types of polymers and then many different applications and industries and so on. And we will not manufacture our own products for at least a year or two. So far, it's just going to be providing a technology that can be used by many different industries, and then having these industry or product manufacturers produce that themselves, right, using our technology.
Yeah. Who has done your prototype manufacturing, and what rights do they retain for having done that for you?
Yeah, so our research unit is a 15-man unit based in Madrid, and basically they're working for us. So we have all the patent rights, whatever, to anything that they make. So it's basically our research unit.
Okay, what's the scalability?
It's totally scalable to an airplane or a wind turbine or whatever. There's no scalability issues at all. Okay.
So you're raising $4 million. Is that round A, or is that founders round, or what?
Yeah, you can consider it a round A. We've so far raised approximately $2.5 million.
That's against the 4 million total?
Before the 4 million, yeah.
Before, so you've got 4 million that you're looking, additional that you're looking to raise.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's see some of the questions. Anybody have some questions? What about the market implementation strategy? We know you've got the aircraft industry. What about Tesla and some of those that are cutting edge technologies?
Yeah, so basically our focus right now is to get this technology broadened so that it will work in any application and in any type of matrix polymer. And also early on, as we haven't developed our technology very much, we are focusing on out-licensing to minor products like, ice hockey sticks and fishing rods and so on. Eventually, or once we have developed our technology to a much more mature state, we will contact the major industries like the automobile industry or aviation or whatever. But we don't want to do that at this point because we don't have enough to offer yet, so we cannot ask a good price.
Okay. What's your IP protection?
We filed patents, and we are using a certain reservoir patenting strategy, which basically is focused on keeping competitors out. So we basically put up a fence covering a very large ground around our core technology, making it very impossible to work around it. So we have a strong patent applications, and we also have freedom to operate that basically is as clean as you can get it, basically saying that we don't infringe any patents whatsoever.
Okay, what are your competitors, and what's that look like?
Yeah, so our competitors would be anybody making products of any type of material. The competitive position is really strong because this is going to be, or carbon nanotubes are the strongest molecules known. And we are very close to making composite materials that are the strongest molecules, or sorry, the strongest materials. And on top of that, they have many other attractive features. So of course, this is not going to be the material you can use for anything, but it's going to be applicable in a wide array of applications and products. And in most cases will be strongly competitive.
What about the oil and gas industry? Have you identified certain products that would be particularly valuable to them?
Yeah, so they are already using carbon fiber products in the oil and gas drilling industry, and it would be we will have a very competitive position once we start using carbon nanotubes. Also, both in the manufacturing and in the product quality, at a product quality level. I
happen to be an avid tennis player. What's it going to do to affect the tennis rackets?
Yeah, so we already sold a license to somebody producing tennis rackets. So you're not going to be able to buy that. But obviously, it's going to be possible to make tennis rackets that are a lot lighter or have a much lower weight and are stronger. And of course, it's always a compromise. You can choose to make it 5 times as stiff, or you can choose to have it at the same stiffness, but 5 times as lightweight. Or a combination, of course.
A combination, okay.
And so the other advantage, and maybe the biggest advantage, is that any carbon fiber or glass fiber product has to be made by hand. So it's a very labor-intensive process, whereas our material can be made by standard plastic processing methods like injection molding, for example. Therefore, it allows automation and high volume production, which is going to lower the cost enormously.
Yeah. So how are you able to accomplish that without giving away any trade secrets? But that's a huge improvement in the production of carbon fiber. I can tell that.
Yeah, it's basically because carbon fiber, for various reasons, you cannot use that as individual fibers. You need to make it with layups, carbon fiber mats or glass fiber mats. Whereas with the carbon nanotubes, you basically add them as individual nanotubes. And these are really, really small molecules, the size of the polymer molecules themselves. So basically, that means that injection molding is straightforward. So it's actually because the carbon fiber and the glass fiber are troublesome. It's not because carbon nanotubes are special. They're just special because they have an enormous strength and can be used as individual nanotubes, and therefore allows injection molding.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your board of directors and your advisory board?
Yeah, so our board of directors is not, what should I say, very high profile, but we have one of the investors is actually a former pilot. So in that regard has some insight in the materials industry, and also the requirements in the aviation industry. We have some really strong key advisors. One is in the management of LM Wind Power, which is the world's largest wind turbine rotor blade manufacturer. And the other one, Martin Smet, is used to head the CNT division in biomaterials in the heydays of the carbon nanotube, so like 10 or 15 years ago. So he was basically in charge of production, research, business development, and everything, and therefore knows everyone there is to know in the carbon nanotube industry, and also knows you know, how big materials companies think, the thinking in those companies. I think we have a very strong key advisory board.
Well, that's great, very exciting, Henrik, and we look forward to learning more. There'll be a chance at the end of our conference to ask more questions, or we certainly are going to make everybody aware of how to reach each of these entrepreneurs, so you can get all your questions answered.
Great.
And now, I'm sorry?
Oh, I just said great, thank you.
Okay, our pleasure. Thank you for being here. Okay, well, now we have an exciting company out of Austin. Cordy McGee is the CEO, and we're pleased to have them here. I'm going to read a little bit about them, then we're going to ask Cordy to give us a little color on the history and the background of it. CLIXS, it's spelled C-L-I-X-S, provides bold technology to help companies capitalize on their customer relationship management system and investment to save time, money, and secure resources to reach target growth and improve executive oversight. CLIXS technology is CRM agnostic and industry neutral. CLIXS provides clients full feature access to automate 75% of administrative tasks that will guarantee clients dramatic improvements with the company's CRM management through a simple model of mobile business card platform. And I would like to introduce Cordy. Cordy,
and Marla, she'll be joining us as well.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, we appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for all that you've done. We love our Austin entrepreneurs, even though that school that they have over there in Austin really is kind of like, we love them, but I'm married to one of those, so we just thank you so much for being here, and give us a little background on how you came up with the CRM platform and how you did it.
Yeah, and is Marla able to share the screen with me? Is that Olga? How do we do that?
We can see, everybody can see both of you, so.
Oh, great. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, so I'm actually, Marla is my Austin base. I will be joining her from San Francisco in about 2 weeks. I'm very excited. So CLIXS, was started in 2019 with the concepts. I went through an accelerator earlier this year and met Marla. She's my tech diamond, as I like to call her. And together, I did a background, I have a background in entrepreneurship and my master's degree in entrepreneurship and business. And so I was thinking about, from a business development professional perspective, so I would essentially be the user, that there were a lot of gaps. I was spending 60% of my day with CRM administration. I wasn't out in the field. I was wasting so much of my time just on follow-up and having to, have those phone conversations, input them, and just And then also like the data, I would go back and maybe their email changed, maybe their phone number changed, maybe they changed companies, you know? So I didn't know where any of my people were. It was constantly, and just became over 70% of the data I would put in maybe even by the end of the month would be irrelevant. So what I was really looking at, and again, you know, business cards, we've already seen that transition where people take pictures of your business card. People, you know, yes, they do QRs, but QR codes on LinkedIn don't translate to your customer CRM with the company you're with. So there were two major gaps: the obsolete business card and our LinkedIn profiles can't legally, with policy and privacy, translate to a CRM. So these were kind of the two positions I was coming, or three positions I was coming from in developing this technology, getting rid of the obsolete business card, you know, not having to rely on my LinkedIn, because that is both professional and social. And then also, you know, like wanting to just really make this a constant, organized and continuous database platform that I was using to make sure that my contacts and everything was in place. So when I met Marla, she is a CRM, you know, specialist. She's been doing this for over 17 years, and with her, or 25 years, sorry, Marla, with her, and then the rest of our management team, we have over 80 years of experience in the IT industry. So combined, we really look at, you know, both how are we going to make revenue, sales and revenue. So we came up with a user cap revenue model. So depending, we give all the same features to our clients, and our clients are the enterprise themselves. So when I say user caps, it's how many people under the client, under the enterprise, are using this mobile app. And then we also have the best in sales and revenue. We are looking forward to launching our pre-sale campaign later this year. In November, we will be finishing our prototype and are starting our prototype in October. And so we will have the end of the year to really collect that data, really collect those pre-sale campaigns, and really put together a wonderful opportunity to launch in mid-January, mid-February. Right now is what we're looking at. And so with those user caps and with our go-to-market strategy, I can explain again a little further. If the executive, I did do executive summary, so I hope everyone has that. And then Marla, I have her joining me today as our co-founder and CIO. She's, like I said, our tech diamond. And Marla, if you would go ahead and kind of take it from the digital business card and go to the back end, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. I see there's a question about how's our technology unique to the target market. Most of the digital business card platforms that are available sit on top of a CRM. So they do not, they link to them, but it doesn't take data and put prospects into the CRM. Our technical design is not a database. We do not store data. We are a bidirectional feed directly to the organization's CRM platform. So when somebody comes and we're interchanging business cards, number one, if as a CLIXS user, you can send the V card directly to somebody's text cell phone. And then if they want to send it back to us, we can certainly do that. The app really focuses on the fact that right now, in the space that we are with COVID and the amount of people that have been furloughed and laid off, the data inside of CRM databases is probably 70% dead data. So the data mining process is going to be very difficult to bring companies back and do campaigns. What we are doing is every time that we we have an OCR scanner in the technology, we'll gather it up, we put it into the format that the organization who has purchased to use the platform for their sales teams We put all the data in there. It is immediately fed down as a prospect, and it is tagged with a flag in the database. So at the end of the month, a organization can do an audit, and we can do an audit with our BI tools, and they will match. And that data we know is live data. That is data that can be campaigned to. That is data that can be followed up on. All of these different things. There are a couple other things that make our technology unique. Our feeling and our basis for doing this was data is assets to a company. It is not something that you want traveling into other organizations and competitors. So we have put in the same kind of HIPAA regulation privacy on the screens and banking, where you cannot take screenshots of prospects that are going into the CRM. They cannot take prospect pictures of pulling customers from the CRM, because it is a bidirectional feed. And in doing that allows us to ensure that the organization level at the C-suite keeps their data where it belongs, and that is with them. The users, you know, we are looking at, we looked at the user basis, and it is pretty self-explanatory to them when they sign in. It's essentially set up for them by a web platform and a portal that an administrator would be able to tweak the data. We are looking to also create, and it's in progress on our prototype, to get the data of the employee that is hired directly from Active Directory. So there is only one login, and they would automatically have their access to CLIXS. They would download it, and their business card would be there. The only thing the user has available to them to change is their personalized picture. The rest of it is strictly controlled by the organization itself. So if you're looking for sales teams for KPIs and those types of things, you'll be easily able to see what your teams are doing at any given time.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So, and the other thing is, we are a text platform only. This is very important. We are text platform only. What that does for us is that allows us, when a prospect gives us their phone number, the salesperson, their phone number, to allow for texting information to them, that is essentially gives us permission to continue to send them product marketing material through that text channel. With the filters and everything going on with email, that was the safest, fastest, and least resistive way to get information into an organization's CRM.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maria. A couple of questions about competition and also the pricing model.
Yes, I love these. Okay, I see them here. So we're looking at LinkedIn. Part of LinkedIn, yes, you know, sales and marketing teams, that's kind of their hub right now. But the negative part about that hub is that when you extract information from LinkedIn and you say, okay, it doesn't separate out social, friends to potential sales, so our prospects. And then also, like, you can't take that data and import it into a CRM without manual inputs. So what's really troublesome about that is and we tested this, is if you take a LinkedIn, you know, poll, a data feed poll, and we're like, well, this still isn't going into the CRM. So if, as a business development professional, I'm looking at probably 2 hours of sorting and then another 4 hours of manual input, so that my, you know, maybe sales or executive can see that I am doing that work, that there is follow-up. And then the other part is that with a bi-directional feed that we're offering, if let's say, company A and company B employee, they both use LinkedIn. Well, company A changed direction and went somewhere else. Company B still doesn't know that. So that becomes dead data. It just kind of falls flat. But if we have what CLIXS is offering is this bidirectional feed, it would auto-populate company's A profile to company B and archive without the CLIXS user having to do a single lifting of any finger. So that's kind of where we're looking at LinkedIn as a as a competitor, but still finding the gaps that we can fill. So Contacts Plus, I'm not familiar with them. I'd love to answer your question, Tom, at a later date. And what's interesting about Salesforce is, as we all know, I've been to Dreamforce. It's a wonderful platform. However, there still are some gaps. Being a CRM agnostic company, what we're able to do when company B and company A, one uses Salesforce, one uses HubSpot. Well, essentially, previously, nope, it doesn't go into HubSpot. So what we're trying to do through the administrative portal, which will be internal to the company, is help them design the fields they want filled. So if company A sends their CLIXS data, company B is able to absorb what they've defined and then import that into their HubSpot CRM. So being CRM agnostic, we are able to give our clients a much tighter control over what they want to implement, who they want to implement it from. And currently we're looking at over 25 CRM companies to work on and providing that exchange and making sure that we are compliant with all regulations. And at this time, being that we don't host data like LinkedIn, like Salesforce, like HubSpot, we don't host data. We're not a CRM provider. We are simply hooking in to what the CRMs currently have for their companies, because again, this company has made an investment. So what we're trying to really do is we don't have to deal with the cost of GDPR regulation. Since we aren't hosting, there goes hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and all of this. So our operating costs become extremely low. And with the fact that we are a client-based and then pricing model, our pricing model and business revenue model is based on the user cap. So if you are a small to medium business and you only have 25 employees, we have a user cap there and a pricing model there. If you are an enterprise company with over 5,000 employees, we have a user cap there and a price base there. So we're really looking at SMB to enterprise as our target, and industry neutral, so that people can continue to talk to each other. If you are a property developer and you're talking to a construction company, for example, let me look. And we'll wrap up. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you. Thank you all. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Very exciting. Thank you, Maria. Okay. We now have Mark Sherman with Ascent Care Plus. Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. It's actually Ascent Care Partners, and there is a preloaded video that goes into our service and operations model first, but goes into our intellectual property goals second, which I would hope would be
I will be playing the video now.
Thank you, Olga.
Good evening. This is Dr. Mark Sherman, Chief Executive Officer of Ascent Care Partners, a value-based medicine company. During our 5 minutes together, I'd like to introduce our current business model, review and recognize the value proposition and market potential, as well and most importantly, understanding our direction towards cloud-based data-driven intellectual property for which we are currently seeking investment. I thought I'd start off this evening with a brief quote from Seema Verma, who runs Medicare at this time. I think the genie's out of the bottle. While she's describing telehealth, I would respectfully offer that beyond telehealth, healthcare is moving towards a quality outcome, cost control model involving data and predictive analytics. This is, in fact, the direction that Ascent Care Partners is going at this time. As far as what Ascent Care Partners has been doing, I'm going to spend some time talking about our services and operations before talking about our technology needs and goals. We combine value-based medicine with telehealth care delivery. Our clients are primary care physician practices. We are a virtual extension of those practices, helping them take care of patients in between their office visits. Our focus is on providing revenue-generating services for the physician practices that they would not otherwise be able to perform on their own. These services are covered by Medicare, and Medicare, as we know, is a non-market cycle, always growing source of revenue. We do deliver total health care support, combining behavioral health, medical health, and social health care. This is done through billable services, including chronic care management, annual wellness visitations, remote patient monitoring, and teletherapy. To discuss a few of our market services, just to show the potential and what has already been occurring for us as a business, chronic care management alone has an unlimited market potential, currently at about 35 million patients with very minor market penetration. Physicians have attempted to perform CCM in their offices, but have not been successfully able to do so for a number of operational reasons. On the teletherapy side, the demand for home behavioral health services has skyrocketed, and we have an unusual opportunity in which we can use our current client base and our focus on the Medicare age population, social isolation, to garner teletherapy service support as well from our installed client base. Our team is unique and uniquely experienced, with decades of experience in all aspects of healthcare, from the payor side to the physician side, human resource, operations, marketing, human capital management, and process improvement. Our business concept has been successful because we do not impact our client operations. We basically have created a triangle between us, the patients, and a medical practice, and the physicians have a very low startup cost, and they are not required to make technology purchases. Our business is successful. Our physicians are happy with Ascent Care Partners, our care coaches, our nurse practitioners, our nurses, and our doctors. In addition, their patients are experiencing fewer hospitalizations and emergency department visits, with some spin-off benefits within the Medicare physician scoring system. Our model has proved to be scalable, and currently there is a strong demand for at-home services. Let us now move on to the technology investment phase, the primary area of interest at this time. We need a better data model to incorporate our increased volume and pull all our assessments and data, which are monthly and ongoing in the outpatient sector, together. We are already comfortable with cloud-based technology and have thus far used best-in-class off-the-shelf products in a unique integrated manner through various APIs. Our technology investment goals will allow us to perform better horizontal service integration and increase our own efficiencies. But there are more important goals. We are mapping our intellectual property in the background at this time. We are going to create a different business platform with a unique data set. This will provide extremely valuable outcome tools for what are called predictive analytics. How can we tell who is going to be expensive as a patient in the future, and how can we intervene before that time to decrease hospitalization rates and better control healthcare costs while maintaining and increasing patient quality of life? I would point out, in order to do this, a clinical approach and service approach is needed towards patients, and that is what we have been developing over the past 2 years, now moving into our technology phase. Our goals and objectives. We are going to create our own unique technology solution, which will allow payers, ACOs, integrated delivery networks, and employers to engage us for predictive analytics capabilities in our unique patient pre-hospital and post-intervention model. Of note, we address and take care of an entire list of patients who are qualified for a given practitioner. not just the top 5% of the most expensive. Our exit strategy intends acquisition and merger within 4 to 5 years. So why Ascent Care Partners? We are a great opportunity. We have a great team in place. We have industry vision. And in healthcare, we have the all-important sense of humor. In summary, our leadership team has the right mindset and passion, a proven business model. The target market is clear and scalable with unlimited market demand, and our exit strategy is solid and focused. Thank you for your time. I look forward to ongoing discussions.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark, for that. Okay, so we're open for questions. One point comes to mind is why is a sense of humor important in that sector?
Yeah, certainly. At the end of the day, patients in this age group and other age groups, but particularly the Medicare population, follow their physicians. So you have to have relationship skills in your business with physician offices as well as patients. And that requires a sense of humor and ability to just roll with human beings, their stresses in life during our care coach and nurse practitioner and leadership interactions at all levels with physician staff, patients, as well as physicians and the practice managers themselves. That's on the service model side.
Okay, and what does your sales pipeline look like? Where are you now, and what's your pipeline?
Sure. So right now we have about 33 physicians under contract. We're onboarding physician 11. Number 11 next week. September 4th is the date that we'll get together to do that. What I would say is this: I know this space, and I've watched other companies in our space come and go and fail, and I understand why they have failed. And at the end of the day, if your service and operations model is not in place, the marketing and technology infrastructure will fail due to uneven service delivery and patient dissatisfaction, which leads to practice dissatisfaction. But overall, our client base, as Marla had pointed out in the last session, data is an asset, and that's what I would emphasize. You know, the patients, their health, their quality of life, yes, we're very focused on that right now, but there's an amazing data set for us in the outpatient setting, pre-hospitalization, tracking social, behavioral, and medical issues that allows a unique opportunity for predictive analytics development. I did see the question on competition. I'll tell you about competition, and certainly we follow that and hear about it quite a bit. The space is truly vacuous. What I would say is I would enjoy meeting competition. Occasionally we get a call from some of our competitors that are sort of interested in how we're doing things and want to share stuff. Maybe they're looking for an acquisition, maybe they're seeking information, but it's not an Amazon versus Walmart situation. I think Gus had mentioned the market is 39 million with 1.5% penetration. I've got 35 million, but it's growing with 10,000 new Medicare entrants a day. So the word competition I would offer is a relative term.
Understood. Okay. And you say that there's just 2% of the market has been penetrated?
Yeah, so what's happening is Medicare keeps loosening the rules. They have determined that practitioners that bill value-based medicine codes, such as chronic care management codes and its sister transitional care management code, tend to have lower costs. Their patients are less expensive. So Medicare may not know exactly what that means. Ideally, it would mean better care coordination, Medicare adherence that Gus had mentioned. But at the end of the day, a 9% reduction per head, per patient per month is a tremendous savings to Medicare. So they keep paying more and offering more for these type of services, which is why you see more market entrants into the space. It is a far more difficult task to operationalize this type of thing than may be apparent.
And your specific market is the physician practice. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. in order to go to a very large organization, we need a different technology infrastructure. So our goal has been to start with primary care medical practices in the 2 doctor to 10 doctor space, which is what we have, multiples, and have a data set and a revenue stream before going to the technology phase. So some of our competitors that are no longer with us, our former competitors, invested a tremendous amount of money, well, to me, tremendous, $10 million, something like that, in the technology aspect, the software aspect, before the service delivery was straightened out, and it was just too much overhead that they were not able to make up in a significant amount of time. So we took the opposite approach. We have built our service and operations machine slowly, enrollments, how to do that, semi-automated, physician buy-in, patient concerns, how to provide value propositions to the patients so they don't disenroll. Because the patients have to see the purpose too. They have the right to disenroll in these type of services. So we've taken the opposite approach, which is a service operations first, and then after a certain volume that we can see in our pipeline, start moving towards the technology phase, and then be able to go after larger organizations.
Okay. Tell us a little about your board of directors and your advisory board.
Sure. So advisory board is an interesting term. We do not have a formal advisory board with names. Those we have thought about that, and those will be carefully selected individuals that bring value to the organization in different ways. We have a background of advisors. I have 4 people from the Small Business Administration that help us in the background in different areas of expertise. Our leadership team, Dr. Morris has been the former Senior Vice President for Senior Products for Humana for the Southwest region, has worked for Aetna and a variety of other known health insurance companies, currently a medical director for Humana while serving as our Chief Medical Officer as well. Robert Freeman is our Chief Operating Officer. Right now, he is also doing some work as a Senior Vice President for an international company. Mark Cohen and I are 100% dedicated to Ascent Care Partners, and the other 2 are moving in that direction. Mark Cohen has decades of practice management and customer relationship experience, and collectively we all have different parts of the elephant that tends to be appreciated at the physician office level because we're kind of one of them. And so when you go to doctors and you go to practice managers or you go to administrators in healthcare, we're not just another vendor knocking on the door. It's sort of like, hey, we're all in this together. We can walk our walk and talk our talk in a familiar space. We understand the revenue stresses and the clinical operations stresses, and provide value beyond our services to practices, as it turns out.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much, Mark, and we'll certainly be following you, and we encourage everyone that has an interest in knowing more to reach out to Mark. I might add that our organization is one that offers collaboration between industries too, and so we invite those entrepreneurs that might find a benefit in collaborating with any of our presenters. We welcome that, and we offer to facilitate that. So thank you again, Mark, for an exciting presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, Bruce Marcus is here to tell us about his exciting new enterprise in rider share industry. Bruce, thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Bruce Marcus, Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of Hail, a soon-to-be new competitor in the ride-hailing industry. The company is Houston-based, and that's where we'll start our first operation, but we'll be expanding nationally. I'm going to take you through the highlights of Hail's potential, but first it's necessary to address the so-called elephants in the kitchen. We've been on track since last summer to ramp up and begin driving in the first or second quarter of this year. Fortunately, the entrepreneurial gods were good to us. For the past few years, a couple of us have been consulting with a ride-hailing company in Singapore. We were early to pick up on what was happening in Asia with COVID. We believed there was going to be an economic impact here in the US, and it would significantly impact the marketplace. We did not fully realize the unique position in which Hale would find itself. Safety and service were always going to be at the forefront of our positioning. For the foreseeable future, there won't be anyone requesting a ride who isn't thinking, do I trust this company? How safe is this car? And as you know, Uber and Lyft have had serious problems in both of these areas. The world has slowed down, providing Hale time to not only execute its startup preparation, but time to come into the Houston market right when the economy rebounds. We get to build the foundation of a solid startup while the two main competitors are bleeding cash, tearing down their infrastructure, continuing to disappoint their drivers, and having to react instead of plan. Hale now gets to launch with the right message at the right time. So let's get back to Hale and the market opportunity. At the macro level, national consumer services have very similar market development. There are usually one or two early entrants creating or reacting to a consumer need, and they're big eventually. Think AT&T, United Airlines, Hertz, Hilton. However, there are always second wave entrants who are positioned to address specific consumer needs. And if they succeed, take a significant piece of the existing market. And when the opportunity presents itself, bring in new customers. In my many years as a keen observer of national consumer services, and I was on the scene when the airline industry took off after deregulation. I was the second employee and project manager of the startup, very successful startup, New York Air. I've never witnessed a market with as wide an opening for effective positioning as I do today. Now let's look at this from a micro level. How is Hale going to take customers and attract new riders? Flash price promotions, media interest, and trendiness have resulted in tremendous awareness and usage by mostly millennials and Gen X. But how do we get users to download another app and take that first ride? The answer is targeted digital and social media direct advertising and promotion aimed at existing demographics that crave a fresh, new approach. The two best examples I can give are the 50-plus market that's been really completely ignored by Uber and Lyft. Right now, less than 10% of the riders are actually in that group. What are their two main concerns? Safety and using complicated apps. Well, Hale will have the most up-to-date safety protocols and will also be actively promoting both laptop and cell phone communications. The second example is the existing group of over 3 million parents who have their credit cards on their college-age kids' ride-hailing accounts. What is their overwhelming concern? Safety. That sounds familiar. The other main question is, how is Hale going to achieve profitability when the two main competitors never have been profitable and by most industry accounts never will? The overall answer is that Uber and Lyft have always viewed themselves as tech companies first. The reality is that ride-hailing is a consumer service that takes advantage of cutting-edge technology. The inherent value of the company and its brand and customers is not an app. Literally every decision made by these two companies has been driven by the quest for technology, starting with their wasted investment, in Uber's case, in the billions of dollars in autonomous driving vehicles. The second reason for continual losses has been the growth at any cost mentality, buying your way into markets and eventually buying your way out of markets or getting kicked out of markets has cost both of those companies hundreds of millions of dollars. Ride-hailing is a simple business that can be set up and run profitably. The team is going to accomplish all of this has over 35 years of transportation startup experience, over 75 years of technology and app design experience, and over 85 years of financial management experience. And most importantly, over 75 years focused on the profitable delivery of consumer services. The projections, we believe, are very realistic. The rapid growth you see in revenue over 5 years is primarily the result of adding cities. Hale's projected market share is extremely reasonable and is projected to be extremely profitable. As As a result of the existing economic conditions, we have reduced the overall market size projections, but we've increased Hale's market share. Still, we put ourselves as a highly credible and effective middle market player with approximately 8% of the market after about 5 years. Obviously, there's a lot more to this story than I can present in 5 minutes. There's no doubt that taking on Uber and Lyft is a formidable challenge. The bottom line is that we're prepared and we're nimble. We've already demonstrated that through the fact that we avoided such a large economic meltdown, and I'm talking to you today. The marketplace is ready for Hale. Riders have needs that we will meet. Drivers have been waiting for a company that treats them as more than disenfranchised gig workers. I look forward to answering your questions and following up with any information requests. Are we ready to take on the elephants in the kitchen? Hell yeah.
Hi, Stephen.
I'm sorry, I was got unmute. I apologize. So, well, thank you so much for that presentation. Let's open the floor for questions from our audience. Tell us a little bit about your board of directors and your advisory board. Bruce, can you hear me?
Steve, yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, we have an interesting board. The company was founded by a gentleman who is an engineer, came out of the Air Force, has worked internationally in the ride-hailing business, and took his focus on really coming up with a better way to treat drivers and a better way to approach the industry to Houston. And he joined with a gentleman I've worked with for a number of years. His name is Leonard Chakind. And since he always leads with this, I'll say he is in his late 80s, but he, for over 35, 40 years, invested and ran all of Shell Oil Company's pension money and a lot of their finances worldwide. He's also a long-time Houstonian. And then there's myself. I'm on the board as well. I have considerable startup experience starting in the airline industry, which actually has a number of parallels. On our advisory board, we have a lot of individuals from around the country who bring different skills. A lot of them are connections that may ultimately play out with some of the partnerships that we hope to have in the franchising opportunities.
Well, that's great. Now, we know you've delayed your start date because of the pandemic crisis. What's your current timeline look like, and where will you begin?
Well, we're starting in Houston. That's where our operating team, which has had at all levels, we have a solid middle and upper management team that have worked in ride hailing very successfully. And they're primarily based in Texas and specifically in Houston. We need approximately 90 days to ramp up. And we're looking right now at probably the first of the year, January. The good news is we can pick the time. It matters not in the long term whether we start our operation in December or January or February. It's important, though, that we stay on top of the marketplace, know what's going on in Houston, and evaluate the best time to make the splash in the market that's going to time with, let's just say, the economy getting back to relative normal. So we're probably looking at early first quarter 2021 right now.
Okay. And how are you currently capitalized, and what is your next round of offering?
Okay, we've had, I'm going to say approximately 250,000 put in by our founders. We are in call it an A or seed round that we are looking for up to $10 million. We require approximately 2 to 2.5 million to actually begin operation in Houston. We have in place convertible promissory notes that will eventually convert into convertible preferred shares. And we're in discussions literally every day with our attorneys and our accountants to look at what that conversion rate's going to be and what our cap level is right now. It's hard, in one sense. The good news for us is that when you really look at our projections, and we show profitability in year 2, which again goes back to the issue of why us and why are Uber and Lyft are in this quagmire of being unprofitable. But our projections have us really, by expanding markets fairly quickly and being profitable in Houston in year 2, the return, in as much as one can play out 3 to 5 years, assuming we'll be open to acquisition and other exit strategies. But if you look out over 5 years, it gets, every day I spend time trying to get the numbers down to where they look less impressive. Usually, many of us have been in ventures where you're constantly boosting up numbers to show better returns. This market, transportation in general, tends to be somewhat lower margin. However, it's not, as I said in the presentation, this is not a complicated business. Uber and Lyft overcomplicated it from the beginning. Ironically, this is a USA technology investment conference. I'm not trying to avoid the issue of technology. We will have an app that's at the base of everything we do, but the company and its infrastructure are not going to be driven by, I'm going to say, classic West Coast tech companies that tend to have a lot of qualities that make sense for them, but not for this industry. And probably the one that you're all aware of is, growing at any cost. That there's always going to be some benefit. Just keep growing and pouring money into something without worrying about day-to-day profitability. This business can be run very profitably, and we intend to do that.
Well, thank you for that. And what is your capital plan? I guess your Series A, Series B. What's that look like?
Well, I think right now, again, if we look at it as a gradual, as we all do, we can set things in stone. We're trying to be as flexible as we can. As I said, we need right now, and we literally just started a few weeks ago, based on our very intentional delay through COVID. We're looking for 2.5 million to begin our Houston operation. One of the small ironies in life is we deal with COVID. We're currently talking with a sizable investor group, and they're all based in Northwest Louisiana. Lucky us, right? So, we get to the point where we're close to closing some deals, which represent between 500,000 and 1 million. And of course, the storm comes in. So first step for us is to get people coming in with convertible promissory notes. We're giving a discount for an eventual conversion to preferred shares. The preferred shares, we're projecting at this point, although it's not final, that we're going to be selling preferred shares at $100 a piece, and they will convert to 10 common shares, and we'll be giving a 6% annual interest on that. And that's the plan. We know after we get into Houston, it's going to cost us between $750,000 and $1 million to enter a new city. But as you might imagine, a lot of the pieces of our operation that we're going to put in place to open Houston, as we begin expanding, the cost per city goes way down. Everything from a customer service operation to the cost of our app.
Okay, well, thank you. Do we have any other questions? thank you, Bruce. And we look forward to continuing conversations with everyone that's interested in, and then whatever else we can do to be of support.
Right, I appreciate that. Someone asked, just one of the questions I just read was about whether we have any revenue. We haven't started driving yet. We will start, again, if we look toward January, February to be driving, we'll be doing our beta testing November, December. And as a side note, as the world has changed, the ability to get into delivery and have that as the main piece of your business has gone up incredibly. And it's not just food delivery. We're going to be looking at some very creative ways to approach how people live these days and their interactions with their outside services. So again, the final thing I'll say is that, and for those of us that sort of look at industries and how they function, we've got two big companies that are literally tearing themselves apart at this point, trying to re-engineer what they do. We get to build this from the ground up and build it smartly. And that's going to save us a lot of money, and it's going to get us out there into an audience that has had problems for many years with Uber and to a certain degree Lyft. So we're really looking forward to this. Thanks again. I appreciate everybody's time
Bruce.
and attention.
Thanks, Bruce. And thanks, Lynn Shakehand, for your friendship with Startup Club, and look forward to working with y'all on this. Okay, well, the next is Mobicard. And unfortunately, the CEO of Mobicard had an event occur that prevents him from being here. So I'm gonna try to run with the ball just as best I can to give you a little background of this exciting technology. Mobicard is a digital business card platform that allows individuals to seamlessly share their contact information virtually from anywhere. Be the first to utilize and improve business productivity, as well as strengthening relationships between businesses, in addition to client and agent business practices. There's no limit to the creative and ingenuity that this app can provide for business promotion and networking, with a new way to set a fast pace business progression and seeing results beyond belief. These were the same ideals behind the creation of this app. And they're part of a public company platform called PTOP. And they have a website. They have some stock reviews that you might be interested in. And the CEO is Joshua Sodatis. And just a comment about him, since Joshua Sodatis became chairman and CEO of PTOP, and under his leadership, the company's value has increased while he has maintained a focus on the fundamentals. The core business product is the key ingredient to any company's long-term success. I will focus on the key fundamentals in order to drive real sustainable value long-term. My strategic objectives are to complete the new technology platform and debut the best proprietary solution throughout core business product. First and foremost, my second topic priority is to complete the financials and get the company current. So we will provide more information when we get it, and we're gonna offer Mobicard an opportunity to present at our next event. But in the meantime, if you need information on any of these companies, feel free to contact any of us at Startup Club, or you may certainly reach out directly to the companies. I think we provide all that contact information. And so I'm going to turn this now over to to Olga to give you a preview of what's coming up with Startup Club and to give our closing remarks. Olga.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for hosting this wonderful event. I think we all thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, huge thanks and congratulations to all the companies that participated and that presented today, depending on time of the day, once again. We're really happy to have you with us, and I think that everyone in the audience, the investors present, also enjoyed your presentations. As Stephen said, we'll be, of course, connecting each one of you following the event, and if you have anyone in particular, if you're interested in any of the companies that presented tonight, you can drop me a message on LinkedIn or email me, and I will make sure to get you in touch with the person you're interested in. Of course, we have a lot of exciting events coming up at the Startup Club. One of them will be hosted by Stephen in the beginning of October, the real estate conference, of course, focused on the real estate field. And if you're interested in that, you can reach out to Stephen directly for more details. And another interesting conference that we would like to highlight will be also in October, Northern Europe conference, and we will have Josh from Bombicard presenting there as well. Hopefully he'll be able to make it that time. So I will be sharing with you details in the chat. Some useful links that you can check out to register for our upcoming events. And once again, I will leave my email in the chat so you can reach out to me if you have any questions or if you'd like to participate in further events. So overall, my closing remark is, of course, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you with us very soon again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and I'm going to leave my email quickly so everyone can follow up if they want. Wish you wonderful rest of the day or good evening, and see you all very soon.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you,
Thanks.
Stephen.
Thank you, and thank you, Sohini and Oliver.
Thank you.
And Brian Emerson.
Oliver, yes, of course.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Thanks.
See y'all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.